Welcome back to the Dojo Podcast, episode 12. My name is Kyle.
I'm Logan.
And ye howdy, I'm Thomas.
And we're back with a nice sunlit episode. I look nice and pale and washed out, but that's all right. So,
How long were you waiting to say ye howdy?
I thought about it while we were sitting here, and I was like, I got to. For our audio-only listeners, I'm wearing a cowboy hat. So if you go into the YouTube video link, you'll see me wearing a ridiculous straw cowboy hat.
Yeah, subscribe on YouTube.
please.
It's really itchy.
You know what's not really light and washed out? Apple's new iOS update adds dark mode.
It's lit.
Yeah, but not literally because it's dark. But iOS 13 announced at the developer conference. When was it? Worldwide.
It was like
conference.
Tuesday.
It was like Tuesday
Or Monday. It was Monday.
Yeah, two days ago from
2 gay days.
2 days ago from recording this. A lot of cool stuff from this, but something that's getting a lot of heat is the monitor stand for $1,000.
So, here's the thing. I actually thought it was really good conference. I knew they were winding down, so I was watching and I turned it off because I was like, okay, they've announced the computer, the OSs, they rebranded iOS on iPad, all this stuff, and then they're like, here's the monitor. They show the monitor, and I'm like, okay, this is clearly the last thing they're going to show because Tim Cook was the one who came out and talked about it or whatever. And so I turned it off, and then I saw later this huge backlash that the whole stand was like, the stand for the monitor was $999, which is the cost of the iPhone, basically.
Yeah. And a lot of really nice monitors. The
And a lot
monitor
of really
itself
nice
is
monitors.
what, like $5,000?
Yeah, I think so.
So
Yeah, you can probably buy like a 32-inch 4K monitor for around $1,000
Yeah.
somewhere in that neighborhood. So I don't know. For the Apple fanboys, I think it's a good purchase.
Well, it's for
but-
like professionals, and so
Yeah.
everyone's like, wow, who would buy that? It's like a company whose budget is like $5 billion a year, and they just like don't even give a shit.
it's not a consumer purchase. One of us is not going to buy that. So
Maybe not you.
I
I don't know, broke
broke boy.
But I thought it was a really good conference. I was like, oh, they added some nice little additions. Nothing game changing, but like they added some, like the volume slider is now not obnoxiously large. They added dark mode, which is, they're so far behind on that dark mode. Android has had that for a whole 2 months now.
Well,
1 month.
their latest operating system for the computer, Mojave, like that has dark mode. I have everything
Yeah, I
set
have
to
that
dark
too,
mode
yeah.
too. So.
Are you guys gonna get the new one, Catalina?
Catalina
It's
wine.
the Catalina wine mixer.
Catalina freaking wine mixer.
Good job keeping it clean.
Freaking. Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I thought it was a good conference. I was impressed with the stuff they showed, and obviously it was Apple doesn't make like that many just like bonehead mistakes, but it's like this whole thing has been dominating the news cycle. If they had just been like the new Apple Pro monitor, whatever, $6,000, or if you get it with the mount, it's $5,200. That would have been fine, but instead it's $5,000,
Separated it.
$200 for the Visa mount, and an extra $1,000 for the stand. It's like they shouldn't have done that. They should have made it base $6,000, and you could maybe subtract the stand to save $1,000, and no one would have cared. But because they had to do it, not a good idea.
Yeah, bad look.
So going off Apple, I've seen a couple prototypes for this new iPhone that is rumored to be not rumored, but like some trustable sources with this new camera punch out. What do you guys think about this? I'm thinking like
a new punch out like on the screen.
No, on the back. So I've just seen like some prototypes for like cases and stuff, and it looks like it could be like a.
I've muted
Every
my phone
time.
on like one of these podcasts.
It's like kind of like a 4x4 kind of thing. So I'm thinking they're gonna go a three lens setup with the flash. What do you guys think about that?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's pretty widely like leaked at this
Yeah,
point. It's not like, but
I'm not breaking any news here, but
Yeah.
I just want to see what your guys.
I'm
like.
hearing here there will I'm not 100% sure, Jane, but I believe they will have a flash on the new iPhone.
They're discontinuing the flash actually. I don't know. What do you guys think about this this fuck you race to like put more lenses on
so
the
there's
camera?
multiple races in phones right now. There's multiple trends. The big one is increasing screen space. as we've seen with Apple and the notch, and that started this whole trend of big, ridiculous notches, and then companies are just trying to make it smaller and smaller. Samsung has like a little tiny punch-out hole. Apple's going to stick with the notch for a while, probably until they can get cameras under the screen, which is like a thing, but it's not great right now.
Yeah.
And then the other race is just like, let's put as many fucking cameras on the back as we can.
Because
It's
consumers see it and they're like, oh, more cameras is good.
More camera, good camera.
Money value. But I think it's interesting looking at the perspective of the Google Pixel, which Logan uses, which, in my opinion, takes better photos on a single lens setup
Than many do on like
three. I've seen other phones with the other camera comparisons.
Google they're lazy a lot of the time. They'll be like, oh, let's put out a half-ass product, like half the time. But when they really put their mind to something, they've got a lot of engineering talent to make it happen. And so I think the difference, the magic behind the Pixel camera is in post shot processing. It's just really fucking good. It's that software. But yeah, the sensors, like I've read about it, the sensor in the phone is nothing impressive. It's like the same as other phones.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Who else is using software is Robert Downey Jr. You put this story on here?
I saw this today. That? I mean, to be fair, I didn't read the article, but the headline pretty much says it all. Robert Downey Jr. said he has vowed to use robotics and AI to significantly clean up the Earth in the next decade. I assume he's just going to put a bunch of money into projects that aim to do that. But I think it's funny because the joke that's been going around the internet today is that he's actually Tony Stark using his money to better the world. I saw a funny screenshot today where it was his character from Tropic Thunder, where he's like, I don't leave character until I've done the DVD extras.
Oh, yeah.
So he's still Tony Stark.
That's great. Was ridiculous, by the way.
But good, very funny. Good for Robert Downey Jr. for using his money for good.
Yeah, in a world where there's so much bad stuff going on,
keep censoring yourself for like the weirdest things.
Bad shit going on. A little bit of light, Robert Downey Jr. He's got a good story of coming.
He's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, head and shoulders.
Today's podcast
is spawn.
But good on him.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else about the story, but I just thought, good. That's it's dope.
Just a quick shout out to
RJ.
Shout out to her. Yep. Guess we want to talk about what do we want to talk about here? We got a bunch of topics listed. I like this one in particular. I wanted to transition, but I wasn't sure if we should do Iron Man spoilers.
I almost did.
Yeah,
Iron Man dies.
Oh boy.
Oh, okay.
All right. That's shit. Okay. Selling stuff online. Will you get murdered? So as we've been moving out of our place here, we're graduating in a week and a half now. So yeah, geez. We got to get rid of a bunch of stuff because, we come here, you got couches, desks, all this stuff that you come to college. Sorry. When you come to us, live in a house, live in a dorm, wherever you are, you have a bunch of furniture that maybe you bought specifically to live in that apartment or wherever you're living.
Yeah.
But you need to get rid of it at some point. So we've started posting stuff online, Craigslist, OfferUp, Let Go.
There's Facebook Marketplace. But I don't post on there because I feel like human garbage showing that to my Facebook friends that I actually know. If I'm selling something good, then I'll post it on there.
Should I sell my IKEA table with a hole in the middle? That's not a bad investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people need tables.
Interesting.
But you could put a beer.
Yes. So the only thing I've sold so far is I gave away a clothing rack, a portable clothing rack for free. So I wasn't so concerned about the bloke that was meeting me coming and trying to shank me over this clothing rack because there was no exchange. It was just me giving him the thing. But I know you sold that pair of speakers.
Honestly, you could have just left it outside. You could have taken it. That would be the end of that. But here's my philosophy about things on these websites where people sell stuff. When you list something for free, people sometimes see it as oh, this is probably shitty, and they're just trying to get rid of it. But it worked out in Kyle's case, but most of the time, I browse the free stuff sometimes and I'm like, this is all shit.
Yeah.
So in my perspective, I'll list something for like cheap or like I'm not really expecting to sell it, but you know, I put a price on it. I sold some speakers, and the guy was like, he was nice when I met him, but the communication was a little weird, and I was like, I gave him our address, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't have given him the address.
Yeah, that's a big.
Yeah, he's gonna come murder us.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna come for the $50.
We can just outrun him. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
All right.
But he ended up being a pretty nice guy. A little background. I haven't been selling stuff, but my dad sells stuff on Craigslist sometimes. And one time he like sold an iPod on there, and I had to meet a stranger and like at the mall and sell the iPod to him. That was kind of sketchy.
He made you do it?
Yeah, my dad made me.
He's like,
he was at
Thomas,
work.
go do it. Yeah, you go do it.
Did you get a cut?
I think I got $20 for it, but he sold the iPod for like
$20?
$2 something.
Which iPod?
I couldn't tell you. It was one of the like video ones.
They need to bring back the iPod Classic with the scroll wheel.
A little bit off topic, but did you know they actually still make the iPod Touch? They
just announced a new one, which apparently is just shitty. The only people that should be buying an iPod Touch is parents for their kids who are too young to have smartphones.
Yeah,
that's fucking it.
That's perfect. Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly. I'm gonna buy my kid like a shitty iPod Touch and like a phone that can only call.
Well, just get them a smartphone. Wait a minute.
Fuck them.
You're getting them an iPod and a flip phone is the same thing as getting them a smartphone.
Fuck them kids. Okay, so getting back on the topic of Craigslist selling, there was actually a movie made by, I can't remember who, maybe like some crappy TV network, but they made a movie about the Craigslist killer, which was this guy who met people online, specifically like, I think it was services, and they would just murder the people.
What kind of services?
I think it was actually like don't like quote me or anything, but I think it was like massage services or
was
like
it Robert Kraft.
Oh my god.
But it was some kind of service, and then he just met up with these people and killed them. So in the back of my mind, I'm always ready. Like today, I sold something else. I sold a table, and the guy gave me his address, and I was like, okay, I'll go to this guy's house. Like hopefully
you're doing like rule number 1 and rule number 2 of
like
knots.
Okay, don't do what I did.
Meet it like the Fred Meyer parking lot.
Yeah, never go to the person's actual house. Never let them in your house. Never go in their house.
Those okay, but another good tip. Thomas's life pro tips for selling stuff on Craigslist: bring a friend. When Logan sold his Wii U, he brought me.
Yeah, I sold my Wii U.
Cut him in for like $5 or something. Whatever.
I didn't do that, but
yeah, I mean, we were there for the ride.
We were in Fred Meyer, so we went shopping afterward.
So Vincent, shout out Vincent, comes with me to actually deliver the table because his car is the only one that can fit it. And when we get to the place, it's kind of sketchy. It's kind of this like little side road with these townhouses. And we like pull in. The guy's like, we couldn't find the house, and then he kind of walks out and he's like, waves us down. In the ad, I jokingly put, "Will deliver for a 30 rack," which is beer, and he's like, okay, I got the 30 rack. I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting this. I kind of just wanted someone to pick it up, and I see him standing there with the thing of beer in his hand. I'm like, oh wow, we're really doing this. So he's like, yeah, you guys can just bring it inside. We start walking to his house. He brings us into the garage, and I was like, wow, this is it, bro. This is like this is the end of my life.
This is the end. We're in the end game now.
But I mean, I don't always bring a weapon to these transactions, but I did have a box cutter.
You brought your fucking perfect temple, bro. Your body is a weapon.
I had to bring a box cutter to cut some rope that was holding the trunk closed, but I mean, I was ready. If this guy was gonna come at me, it was pretty sketchy. I didn't tell you guys yet, but there was a guy living in the garage, and he was just like, "Oh, what's up, Sean?" I'm not gonna use his real name. "What's up, Sean? What are we doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, I bought this table on Craigslist." And I was like, "Oh, this is it." He's like, bring into his room. His room is the garage, and I was like, "Well, okay, I'm out of here before you kill me." And then, yeah, he wanted to do the transaction through Venmo, which I prefer cash through these because I had to sit there and wait for him to scan my like Venmo ID. And he's like, "It's not working." He had AT&T and he was on the Wi-Fi, and he obviously had some boo-boo Wi-Fi, so I had to sit there for 5 minutes waiting for him to try to get this transaction.
So why is the AT&T thing relevant?
AT&T sucks.
Yeah, and they partnered with Apple on the first iPhone, which means they suck.
Very true. The first iPhone sucked. But yeah, there's my little Craigslist story. The tips are: bring a friend, meet in public, don't do what I do because I'm dumb.
Howdy.
But be smart. Don't get murdered on Craigslist.
Thank you.
You know, I don't think Apple sucks. I actually think they're pretty great, and especially in their food item. In today's Trader Joe's food item of the week, this apple walks into a bar. All right, these are like the little cereal bar dealios that Trader Joe's sells. So
I feel like I remember those.
Yeah, I've been nomming on these since like 6th grade. So we'll just divide this bad boy into thirds, I suppose.
Those little hints of cinnamon.
Yeah, you guys want to see that? Look, that kind of looks like a Fig Newton right now, but
you know, I'm getting hints of apple.
Cinnamon,
bread. Yeah, and cinnamon. I think those are and sugar.
Yeah, honestly, this is a ripoff of the Nutri-Grain bar, but I like it better.
You're a ripoff of the Nutri-Grain bar.
That's very true.
Fucking got him. This man has a family, and I just roasted him live on the podcast.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? How does it rate compared to the Nutri-Grain bar, other cereal bars?
I feel pretty good. I dig it. I think there's a little bit more like a deeper flavor profile, a little bit more of the spices in there.
It's pretty sweet though. Like, I don't know. It's more dessert.
Too sweet for you?
Yeah.
It was like that one energy drink. They should put that in that one energy drink, the like Pog energy drink, or what was it? Pog? Pow?
I don't know what you're talking about.
He was drinking, what energy drink was super sweet? Bang. I like to bang Pog.
That's getting cut out.
Again, I had a Trader Joe's food item of the week, but I ate it all. So stay tuned for if I buy it. I'll probably buy it again, but I might eat it again before we record the next episode.
All right, Kyle, do you want to get into your segment?
Yeah,
here?
I'd love to. As we bump the mic, sorry, listeners, but we were kind of talking about is it worth it earlier with regards to Apple and their expensive ass products. So, oh boy. I just got signed out, but yeah, so we wanted to discuss a couple of different expensive things that, I don't know, people our age purchase, people everywhere purchase, and talk about if they are actually worth it. Do you get enough value out of them? Do you get utility out of them? So one of the first things we're going to talk about is the drip, the clothes that you decide to purchase. So like if you're buying Off-White, Supreme, Gucci, like
even like Nike versus Adidas,
yeah,
like
Nike.
Lower,
I wouldn't even do like Nike versus Adidas, like because they're still higher compared to like I don't know Kirkland or like the fucking the Costco brand or whatever the lowest.
Klay Thompson is signed with.
Xiaomi.
No, it's like Anita or something.
Yeah, something like that. It was
Antler.
Yeah. So can you guys justify spending $500 on a t-shirt that says Off-White and then has like the cross on the back?
That's the thing. I feel like even with $50 t-shirts, if I'm spending even more than $20 for a t-shirt,
yeah,
for the like purpose of a t-shirt, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like $20 is like my upper, like if I really like the design or something, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I mean $500, I don't think I've spent $500 on literally anything in like 5 years. So probably not for me. At least right now, ask me when I have a job and I'm just rolling in the dough. Rolling in the money. But yeah, I there's certain things that I'm willing to like splurge to get like a higher quality experience, like a phone or a laptop or something.
Right.
Or like a game console. But I'm kind of a nerd.
Yeah.
Nerd, but I'm not willing to spend that much on like shoes are expensive,
Yeah,
you spend like $100 on shoes or something like that. That's one thing. But spend 5 times that on a piece of clothing that will be under a jacket half the time.
Yeah, that's the thing is like you get a lot of utility out of shoes. Like they're protecting your feet individually, whereas a shirt or something that's just barely keeping you warm, and you can do that for a lot cheaper and get a better experience. Like. How about
garbage bag would keep you just as warm.
Cars, you can get utility.
You didn't even give your perspective on
clothes. Well, that's all right. I'm already moving on. With cars, like I don't know, you can drive a $500 beater and it'll get you from point A to point B, and you don't.
Cars reference.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought it was Ka-Chow, honestly.
Oh, Ka-Chow is from the one where his eyes are on the lights. And he's like, never mind, I'll cut it.
Okay, well, yeah, so you could drive a $500 beater, get you from point A to point B, or you could drive, like, I don't know, a $100,000 Ferrari or Lamborghini, and it'll do the same thing. So can you guys justify spending that kind of money, increased amount of money on a car?
No.
I'll just say really quick that shout out to Adam, actually. He's taken me for a ride in a couple of his nicer cars. Adam is my girlfriend's dad. But he's into like the high-end car scene. Mm-hmm. And after riding in the car, I've never driven one of them, obviously, but after riding in them, I can kind of see what like the thing is all about. But if I had like that kind of money, I could see myself getting like one. Like you see all these celebrities, they have like this big collection with like a bunch. And Adam's not a celebrity by any means, but he has like a pretty good collection of cars that are like have a decent value. But the thing is, he collects like different cars of different, like they're valuable in different ways, like limited releases, and like they're not always like the supercar, like the Ferrari. They're like, they can be like SUVs and stuff like that. So I think there's just like a market for, obviously, for who wants the cars. But personally, I think I could just like get around on like not necessarily a beater, but something that's comfy, you know, something that'll ride nice, last for a while.
I would rather shovel my money into a furnace to keep my family warm than to spend it on a fuck you supercar like that. Unless it's a Tesla Roadster. Different ball game. Because then I'd be helping the environment and I could virtue signal all day long. But I don't think I would spend my money on something that's like, it's like, you know, this is fucking $700,000, but it costs like $15,000 to make.
You don't get 7 miles. You don't get 7 miles to the gallon, right?
Yeah, man, I could heat my house for a long time with $700,000.
Yeah, speaking of the celebrities that like drive these really expensive, fancy cars, that's who we idolize and like what we look up to. So when I was a little bit younger, I used to think like, oh, nice clothing or nice cars. That's like what you're trying to aspire towards. But now it's like I could spend maybe, I don't know, $20,000 on a new car, like a new Toyota. That's
be perfectly
good gas mileage, good safety rating.
That's just fiscal responsibility.
That's fiscal responsibility.
That's what the man wants.
Okay, here's the thing though. Adam, going back to Adam, he spends the money on the cars, but he doesn't give a shit about clothes. He wears socks with holes.
He doesn't give a shit about the Avengers either. So when it doesn't beat Avatar, I'm gonna go and set his car on fire. Go see the movie, Adam.
The tickets were already bought. I mean, he already spent the money.
Oh, yes,
but I mean, I think it's just what the personal preference is there. So I mean, I would.
Anyway, that's what the man wants you to think. They want you to think that spending all your money on petty shit that no one cares about makes you better, but it doesn't.
So we talk about money.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
Cars may be worth it, but worth it is just referring to like a resource use. So we think about money a lot, but what about time? Spending your time doing something. It's like, okay, I could spend 60 minutes watching 2 episodes of Insert Show. You could spend
60 minutes watching 60 Minutes.
That is very true. How convenient. You could spend 60 minutes watching 2 episodes of your favorite show on Netflix, or you could go to the gym or like do something productive with your life that offers more utility. So I don't know. I find opportunity cost, time value of money, all these economics related terms. What do you think? Do you ever find yourself thinking like, oh God, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like,
I've honestly had those moments where like I'll be sitting around doing nothing and I'm like, is this really the best use of my time right now? And then I'm like, yeah. No.
I've spent like way too long trying to fix things that I've spent like $15 on, you know? I'll just like spend all day trying to like, you know, I don't know necessarily fix, but I spent like a bunch of time doing something and I'm like, if I had a job, the dollars per hour would be like a fifth of what I'm spending trying to fix this thing.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
Time is money.
Time is money, and Americans don't have a whole lot of money. I remember reading something recently that said 40% of Americans have zero savings, and 70% of Americans have less than $1,000 like in an emergency savings fund. And this was based upon, I don't know the population that they specifically surveyed. I can imagine that they didn't survey a bunch of wealthy people, because wealthy people have better stuff to be doing with their time than taking these random anonymous surveys. But that figure is pretty shocking to me. Like, can you imagine just going around one... Jeez. See, everybody you see every day, you can just think like they are living paycheck to paycheck. That's a tough life to live.
I believe it though. I mean, with the...
Especially like we live in Corvallis, most of the people are college kids, so that's like probably especially rings true that no one here has like shit tons of money, because a lot of people are horrendously in debt.
Yeah, I was also going to say though, like we're very fortunate that we have the opportunity to go to college and hopefully get ourselves out of this situation where there's a bunch of people all over the world living in towns everywhere that will never have that opportunity. They'll never be able to put enough money aside or have like the financial literacy to understand that they need to set money aside and invest it and take advantage of compounding interest in order to move themselves out of that. There's just like generational poverty, and that's the thing
problem. Is like, obviously we here in like America, you know, not everything's perfect. There's a lot of real shit going on, but we are very privileged, because like even the people 70% less than 1K, 40% no savings, they're still in like what, the top 5% of like wealth in the world, despite the fact that they don't have like, you know, the minimum wage in the US is like $7.50 or something, which is so much money in some of these other countries where people work for way less and live for less. Granted, in those countries things cost less. Like a Big Mac in other countries is like pennies, but Big Macs are good.
Moral of the story.
That's what we were getting to.
That's If you're gonna take anything away from what we just said, Big Macs are good.
Big Mac.
After ranting about all that, go support big mega corporations like Apple and McDonald's.
Please buy their $1,000. Yeah, so these people can't even afford the stand, even if they wanted the stand. They don't have $1,000.
Literally, yeah. That made me think about you talking about that right now. Actually, reminded me of my cousins in Vietnam, who like, I mean, my dad was talking about my grandpa, who a bunch of years ago when he was young, I don't even know how many years, but he talked about how he could buy a plot of land for like fucking pennies or whatever it was back then. But my cousins now, who are like 3 to 10 years older than me, who have kids, are struggling to buy their own houses because like it's just the state of the economy there, and they make like the equivalent to what is $200 to $300 to us here
in
a
month.
In a month. And I mean, and they're also putting the money into like their kids going to school and like taxes and stuff like that, but they just don't have that much money. And it's just like, it sucks.
It
like
blows,
whenever,
dude.
Yeah, it blows. And then it sucks because whenever our family, like my dad has to send money back to them still. Like,
how much money does he send?
A couple $100.
You should get Adam to send some money, because clearly he's got some extra.
Sell that.
We talked about the poverty trap in my applied economics course this term, which basically goes as follows. If individuals aren't making enough money to get out of their current situation, then they're just going to remain. So say if they're poor, they're unable to afford proper nourishment so that they can continue working, and if their health goes downhill, then they are also unable to continue working. So that just kind of like transcends and moves them further and further away from making it to this upper echelon where you're no longer in this working class agrarian society.
Good word.
Fucked up my cool word there, but it's all right.
So what do you think is the solution to this?
Well, the natural cycle is like from agriculture to manufacturing to a service-based economy in terms of like...
And then to information, I think is the next step, right?
That's very possible. I know that the United States is currently in the service-based economy, and the next step is like... Well, the information age has like its own connotations, but I don't know what Vietnam is considered. It's probably still an agricultural...
It's pretty agrarian.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, China is pretty agrarian still for how
they're
like,
fucking like
loaded. They got so much cash.
A lot of fucking smog too, but
yeah, a lot of smog.
Yeah, but
speaking of China, never mind. Never mind.
Oh, okay. That's a no. But I don't know. If you guys want to wrap it up there, I think I got what I needed to get off my chest. We're approaching.
I really liked how we kind of skirted political lines on that conversation, and we didn't be like halfway through the conversation, because I feel like that's how things could have evolved.
Yeah, we could have really gone no.
We talked about money and economics without having to throw the politics around. It's pretty lit.
Join us on the next Dojo Economics Podcast.
You're a little quiet there. It's not going to pick you up very loud. So you're quiet again. You can't do the quiet thing because it's not going to pick you up.
I said join us on the next Dojo Economics Podcast with insight from my brother, who's an economics major.
Awesome. And Adam.
Adam.
Who's
Adam?
Economic.
Yeah, he's very economic.
Yeah, we can get Perrin on.
Actually, the next Dojo podcast might be
Kyle's last podcast.
Kyle's last Dojo podcast, so might have to be calling in the future.
Not even might. Probably.
Yeah, unless we record multiple in the next week.
No, I'm not into it.
All right, we're not in there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Tune in next week.
Goodbye.